What's up, Disney Infiniteers? Welcome to today's video where we recap all the 2024 Star Wars May the 4th community creations in Disney Infinity 3.0. It's another year, which means we have brand new Disney Infinity Star Wars inspired toy boxes for the May the 4th event. This year was the biggest turnout ever. There was so much creative content, and now it's time to grab a drink and snack and sit back and enjoy this massive recap of all the Infinity goodness. Let's kick this May 4th event off with the Bowtie Guy. Bowtie Guy is back with 2 new videos for this event. His first video is a tutorial on how to build a fully functioning Sith holocron inside the toy box. Now, this Sith holocron is truly incredible because not only is it large, but it is a fully functioning holocron that opens up to reveal the red interior. He also shows off an effect that you can put in it too. During his tutorial phase, he'll walk you through step-by-step instructions on how to create it. And despite the complexity, it's a pretty simple process when you build it inside the toy box. I really enjoy the look and functionality of this Sith holocron, and it's always good watching so many advanced toy box builders help out our community with new tips and tricks inside the toy box all these years later. Now, this wasn't Bowtie Guy's only toy box for the event, but more on that later. Skullbix, the Epic Gamer, posted on the Epic Gamer Squad a toy box that takes you through a droid factory. However, this is a really unique twist on this toy box because of how the droid factory plays. In Skull's toy box, you'll need to hop on a droid who moves throughout the factory. Your objective is simple: stay on the droid for as long as possible. As the droid traverses the factory, you'll dodge platforms, enemies shooting at you, saw blades, and so much more. It's really cool because of how he created the platforming segments. If you do fall off, you will fail the challenge created here and you'll have to start all over. Like I mentioned, Skullbix's platforming sections are clever because the droid is constantly moving, and not only do you have to avoid enemies and various objects, but you have to make sure you're cognizant of the droid's position as well. There's plenty of moments where you can't cheat it by hanging off the side, for example, as the droid is constantly moving. I really enjoyed watching his creation for the event and thought it was a fun platforming toy box. Great stuff, Skull. Cool G.I. Joe brings us his latest May the 4th toy box, which brings the Star Wars films to life. Inspired by the original trilogy, Cool G.I. Joe has managed to recreate tons of classic locations and scenes from the movies. In his showcased video, he shows off 2 nearly completed levels for the massive toy box project. The first is called A New Hope Stage 3. Leaving Tatooine. In this level, Cool has brought the Mos Eisley spaceport to life with tons of NPCs running around, as well as enemies to fight. As Luke blasts his way around town, he'll eventually find himself in the Mos Eisley Cantina. I love the way he built the cantina here, with a band playing, NPCs walking around, and cool cutscenes within. You'll then meet up with Han, ask him for his help, and then it's off to the Millennium Falcon. Once you board the ship, you'll be able to fly away and on into the stars. A very cool adaptation here. The second stage is called The Empire Strikes Back Stage 1, Escape the Echo Base. Here, you'll find yourself on the Hoth base. Looking around, I love the door setups that he has built here, coupled with the explosions and enemies who appear throughout. Han will make his way down the corridors, blasting his foes amidst the rebel base scenery. Eventually, you'll make your way to a room full of computers and will have to access a terminal to get to your ship. Defeat more of the enemies and you'll make it to the hangar to escape and set off into space once again. Now, I thought these were both really cool adaptations of the film. The preview Cool gave us looked really fun, and I'm excited to see what else he has in store. Super fun stuff, Cool. Shard Collector Games created a toy box entitled Siege of Mandalore, inspired by the Clone Wars Season 7, also known as the Battle of Mandalore. In Shard's new toy box, he showcases the incredibly massive battle on full display. The Palace Plaza environments look beautiful amidst the laser blasters flying around the screen, which gives this toy box a truly epic feel on a massive scale. As Ahsoka fights her way up against enemies, you'll be able to crawl up environments to different levels across the map. Here you'll fight, and you'll also look down to laser blasts everywhere. Not only is the layout beautiful with blue visuals, contrasted by the tall red trees, and the laser blasts really light up the battle in a very special Star Wars way. As Ahsoka eventually disposes of all the Mandalorian enemies, it's time for a confrontation with Maul. Ahsoka then makes her way up into the palace and into the throne room. Here, you can see a beautifully crafted area with sprawling windows, incredible lighting, and a battle with Maul himself. As the two duke it out, Ahsoka will eventually defeat Maul, and Shard shows off more of the throne room he constructed, which I personally love. Finally, you'll battle another wave of Mandalorians as you head back to the Palace Plaza. Throughout this fight, you'll notice tons of allies on the ground to help with the battle. But that's not all there is to this ending. Order 66 will be triggered, and all of your allies, or so-called allies, will turn on Ahsoka and begin attacking her. Ahsoka must then battle her foes and try to survive. Once you finish off the last enemy, this toy box is complete. Now, Shard mentioned he had little reference material to go off of when he created the toy box, but what he made here is truly stunning. I absolutely loved his interpretation of the environment, and the toy box was a blast, literally, to play through. Epic toy box. This one was so sick. Now it's time for another newcomer, Xenon Adam, who created a massive toy box entitled Disney Infinity World. The toy box has always been about creating anything you want, and Xenon came in with a big toy box featuring a centerpiece and 4 separate areas, which include different biomes such as desert, snow, and greenery. The middle centerpiece also reminds me of a huge Disney park. In the short footage provided, it looks like each area has different aesthetics. Additionally, Xenon sent over images showcasing the middle section up close, as well as different angles of various parts. I love how clearly this was built. It just proves how dynamic the toy box building tools truly are. Really enjoyed this, Xenon. Looking forward to more creations in the future. Miniman 04X remade the iconic Darth Vader hallway scene from Rogue One inside the toy box for this event. Not only did he capture the essence of one of the best scenes ever in Star Wars history, but he took some liberties to add some silly and creative differences, which he described, quote, would work better with Infinity's style. I love the use of the camera and smoke here. Vader appearing with the red lightsaber looks spot on too. It feels so epic, just like the film. The camera cuts are spot on as well, as Vader slashes away the crew while making his way onto the ship. Eventually, he'll make his way into a room with Princess Leia on it as a droid rolls under her and knocks her over. It's executed flawlessly here, and it was really fun to watch. Miniman also shared some footage from his prototype version of the scene, which he shared for the May 4th event as well. Absolutely love this, Miniman. What a great idea for this year's event. Just Random Modder 26 is back with some experimental mods. In the first mod he worked on, he decided to color Hulkbuster up as if he was Darth Vader. This gives Hulkbuster a darker shade and honestly looks pretty slick. It's always fun to see alternate suits on these characters. Additionally, Just Random Modder added a few other mods onto characters, such as a monster truck version of Carla, different versions of RPM, Wally, and a red traffic van as a bonus to this mod set. Like I mentioned, it's always great to see new mods all these years later. Thanks for sharing, Just Random Modder. Can't wait to see what's next. Willie has also submitted his work in progress toy box for the event too. He has built a mixture of different themes so far in this toy box. Willie explains there will be 3 more islands inside it: the Wonderland Island, the Princess Island, and the BNL Island. The story here is Luke accidentally goes through a black hole and ends up on an unknown planet, Planet Infinity. This is where he'll come across tons of Disney characters. Beware though, the Empire is right on his trail. Now, Willie mentioned he's working on this toy box, but I'm excited to see where this one goes with his ideas. Love the start here, Willie. Now it's time to recap my creation, inspired by the Ahsoka vs. Vader duel from the Season 2 finale of Star Wars Rebels. As you begin on this mysterious planet, Ahsoka and her crew are in search of a Sith holocron. Ahsoka's rebels will encourage her to go on after Ezra touched an ancient pillar, which not only turned red and had Sith visuals appear on it, but it opened up a huge hole in the ground. Head down inside and you'll run into some enemies who are there to stop you. Fight them off through the gloomy, foggy scene, and you'll see a huge temple in the background, as well as a small rock with debris all around it. As you make your way up the rock, you'll come across what you believe is the Sith holocron. But it turns out that wasn't the holocron at all, as Maul tells you to continue on into the ancient Sith temple as lightning begins to strike the top of it. Make your way inside and you'll notice parts of this structure have collapsed in on itself. You'll eventually end up in a large room with pillars surrounding the Sith holocron. Once you use the Force on it, Vader will appear, the lights will darken, the music kicks up, and a battle between Vader and Ahsoka will ensue. As you fight Darth Vader, random parts of the temple will begin to fall down all around you, causing explosions, as well as lightning striking the middle and outer parts of the temple during the fight. A truly epic and hectic scene as you battle it out with Vader. Continue fighting just like in the TV show, and when you hit Vader with the final strike, you'll see his helmet and the slash mark across his eye, revealing his face and true identity to Ahsoka. This is Anakin Skywalker. Directly after, you'll see the crew inside the Ghost taking off, realizing they were not able to return with Ahsoka. Is this the end of the story? We'll have our answer in the Disney Plus series years from now. And speaking of that, let's jump into our next toy box. The Bowtie Guy's second entry into the event is titled Thrawn's Return: The Map, and is based off of the Ahsoka TV series. It opens up on Vesper, the New Republic cruiser, where Ahsoka will interrogate one of the witches to find the location of the map. Ahsoka won't get answers, but will use the Force to reveal the location. Arcana, which she recognizes. The next part of the toy box takes place on Lothal. We see Sabine Wren looking down at the city, which is throwing a huge party. Sabine will make her way down the elevator and to her vehicle. Bowtie Guy then has a huge race through the beautiful city with winding roads, turns, and beautiful scenery. Sabine will then head across the bridge just like in the TV show, and X-Wings will follow her and try to convince her to return to the ceremony. Sabine, of course, stubbornly tells the pilot to get lost as she makes her way down the road and over to the tower. I love the scenery here, and it was spot on just like the show. Sabine will then climb the tower and look across the city and beautiful mountains as she makes her way inside the tower. I absolutely love this part of the toy box, and the massive scale between the city and lower tower is truly breathtaking. And now we know where the map is. The next part of the toy box takes us to Arcana. As Ahsoka makes her way towards the ruins, Ahsoka will be transported to the world between worlds. You'll see Ahsoka become transparent and face off against an old enemy, General Grievous. I really like this aspect of storytelling, and the visual effect on Ahsoka was really brilliant here. Defeat him, and you'll come back to Arcana. As Ahsoka approaches the ruins, Bowtie Guy has created an absolutely marvelous scene with ruins, rocks, and debris everywhere. You'll also notice pillars knocked over and leaning on other pillars, truly giving this place an epic ancient feel. You'll make your way across the ruins and eventually end up in this area where the ground will begin to shake, revealing an underground area that you can enter. Ahsoka senses something unique on the pillars. When you use the Force on that final pillar, the map will be revealed. Ahsoka then jumps out and is approached by enemies, just like in the TV show. And once you defeat them, you'll notice one final foe prepares to self-detonate. Ahsoka then takes off, running away from the enemy, and eventually he will explode, causing mass explosions and chaos on the ruins, leveling it all to the ground. Now we're back to Sabine, who Ahsoka shows the map to. Sabine then examines the map and works on deciphering it. They now know that Thrawn could be returning, and while it's the end of the Bowtie Guy's magnificent toy box today, it's not the end of this story. This was truly an epic, incredible adaptation of the Ahsoka TV series. Now I love this one from start to finish. Bowtie Guy, magnificent work on this one. Now let's check out another newcomer to these Infinity events, Harry Perry 13, who built his first ever toy box entitled Finn's Escape from Endor. The story here is that Finn escaped the First Order and crash landed on Endor. As he enters the area, you can see it's pretty empty. Finn will eventually climb up and find a TIE fighter. However, there's a force field that won't allow him to enter. So he embarks into the base to find a way to deactivate the force field. Finn will eventually come across some terminals to use, but it seems that they have no power. From here, he'll traverse through the base, avoiding enemies and sneaking around to find the batteries. The gameplay is pretty cool here. If you get caught, you start the mission over. Very clever gameplay element. You'll adventure out on Imperial bases, under large trees, and much more as you continue to collect batteries. Once you get one of the terminals powered up and turned on, it's time to work on the second one. There's even one point where you'll be able to fly down into another area of the map to continue your mission. You'll proceed on to take out more enemies, stay hidden, and collect the remaining batteries. Once you get back to the area with the TIE fighter, you'll see two walkers doors here where you'll be able to complete your mission, take off in the TIE Fighter, and escape the First Order. Hilariously, he crashes into a tree on the way out, just like he intended, I'm sure. Now, I really enjoyed this toy box, and the stealth elements were a great touch. Cool toy box, Harry. Glad you participated. Tony DePro came with a simple entry showcasing Luke running around Hoth, looking for parts to repair his lightsaber. In the brief footage he provided, you can also see a walker here, as well as a cave system in which Luke traverses. Additionally, he showed off a Star Wars themed interior, as well as a desert battle with enemies. Flintlock 216 joined in on the fun with his toy box recreation of Galaxy's Edge from Disneyland. Now, this toy box is absolutely incredible. Every area reminds me of how it looks just like the theme park. From the bright colors of the building, to the layout, all the way to the Millennium Falcon rebuilt with blocks, this toy box really captures the essence of Galaxy's Edge. The little details really add to it as well, like the stormtroopers walking throughout the park area, and even some ships he recreated and placed like this one. I also really enjoyed the interior areas, shops, and designs as well. The narrow walkways are just like the park, and it looks phenomenal. Just an incredible toy box, Flintlock. I admire the one-to-one nature of this one. Makes me want to go back there too. Mighty 287 has returned to participate in this event with his latest toy box, Echo Base Has Fallen. Now this one opens up with an incredible cutscene with Echo Base under attack. The shots of the Star Destroyers blasting at the base are absolutely perfect here. I love the explosions and camera angles as well. Once you get into the toy box, you will enter a main door into the Echo Base command center. This is where you can start and reset the game. And while he's working on the co-op version for this toy box, Mighty showed off his creativity with his single player option for May 4th. Luke will make his way through corridors, up ramps with doors opening along the way. When you reach the arena area, you'll be met with downed ships in the snow, AT-STs in the background, and an incredible view of the massive battle. Perhaps most impressive, however, are these huge hangar doors. They are massive doors he constructed that open up with a button press. I mean, look how cool this looks. Now, when the survival mode begins, the doors will open and the battle commences. A myriad of enemies will appear, so while you are focusing on stormtroopers, you'll also be battling other enemies such as probe droids as well. As the battle ensues, you'll be able to use vehicles as well as tauntauns. However, they spawn randomly throughout the fight and will disappear if you don't utilize them enough. As the counter continues to count down from 5 minutes, you'll eventually get to a point where there are Imperial bombardments from the Imperial ships above. This creates massive mayhem with explosions everywhere, all while fighting off hordes and waves of enemies throughout. The action is relentless and you really have no break to breathe. I love it. You'll even battle some Hoth furries, as Mighty calls them. This toy box is just a prime example of great execution on a simple concept that feels so well done. This one was a gem, and I'm really glad Mighty has returned to toy box creating. So good. The legendary That Brown Bat is back with his latest creation, Battle of Geonosis and Count Dooku's Punch-Out. In the first part of his toy box showcase, Brown Bat has created an entire arena, mirroring the Geonosis scene from Episode 2 flawlessly. Utilizing mods, he shows off the AI Jedi fighting off a myriad of enemies as the fight begins. Now this is just incredible on so many levels. First off, the absolute chaos that is happening in front of our eyes looks so great in Infinity. Secondly, this toy box represents an absolutely epic battle with many characters such as Anakin Skywalker, Padme, Obi-Wan Kenobi, C-3PO, R2-D2, Yoda, Mace Windu, and more. Not to mention the clone troopers versus battle droids Jango Fett, General Grievous, and Count Dooku himself. It doesn't get better than that. I especially love how all the Jedi team up at points to absolutely dominate this fight. Just a breathtaking toy box and masterful use of Infinity modding here. Next, he shows off a Punch-Out inspired level featuring Count Dooku in a boxing-esque match. As Dooku continues to battle off enemies, we see a bunch of opponents as Brown Bat showcases the AI fighting in-game, and I love every second of it. He then showed off a fun hallway recreation he was messing around with using mods as well. Now that Brown Bat has been one of the best modders in the community, and his creativity with with all of the toy boxes is perfectly represented in his entries here. Last but not least, he modded in Jango Fett and a movie-accurate Boba Fett. He also made these available to anyone who wants to use them. The fact that Brown Bat has expanded Disney Infinity way beyond its years is so fun to watch. Absolutely marvelous submissions. Thanks so much for making this, Brown Bat. Incredible. Newcomer Ian Cook participated with his Tatooine toy box. Ian's Tatooine recreation opens up with Boba Fett jumping in a land speeder and traversing through desert hills and throughout canyons. This all reminds me of a race. Ian has crafted the beautiful sights of Tatooine perfectly here. As Boba makes his way back to Mos Eisley, Ian shows off other sub-areas he's created, which includes Jawa's, a Tusken Raider camp setup, and Jabba's palace. Near Jabba's palace, Boba will confront some enemies that were waiting for him. After battling it out, you'll realize that Jabba has put a bounty on Boba's head. From here, you'll enter the palace that Ian has constructed, fight off some more enemies, and face Jabba himself face to face where he's sitting on his throne. This was a fun watch and great recreation of Tatooine. Thanks for sharing, Ian. Next up, we have Toys to Life Guy, who's built a battle arena for this event. The goal of the arena is to earn as many points as you can within the time limit. As the battle begins, he showcases Yoda taking on a ton of different enemies. The battle droids are worth 1 point each. Any bosses are worth 10 points each. Toys to Life Guy mentions that you can earn up to 200 points if you're quick here. As he continues to fight off more enemies, eventually bosses will spawn in. From here, you'll need to decide whether to focus on the smaller enemies or solely focus on the boss. So it forces you to come up with a unique strategy here. As the battle wraps up, we find that in this playthrough, he finishes with about 166 points. This was a very fun watch and awesome concept for a toy box. Always loved Infinity's fighting mechanics, so this was tailor-made to accommodate that. Lastly, Toys to Life Guy flies around the map to showcase another view of the arena he built. It was a really cool toy box, and I love the concept of a battle arena inside the game. Fun submission here. Speaking of fighting in the toy box, our next toy box is Buzz Lightyear vs. Darth Vader Remastered, created by Mr. Infinity Productions. The toy box opens up with a shot of Buzz Lightyear walking out towards Tatooine, blaster in hand, and ready to engage in battle. Buzz will eventually walk out and Darth Vader appears, thus starting a fun battle between the two. There's just something fun about seeing this kind of mashup in the toy box. I always enjoy things just like this, especially with Buzz Lightyear grabbing a lightsaber and duking it out with Vader. That's just awesome. As they continue to fight on, Buzz will chip away at Vader's health, ultimately defeating Darth Vader in this Star Wars Day special. Now again, I like watching stuff like this. It's always fun to mix and match characters, especially duels within Infinity's toy box where, as they say, anything is possible. Fun watch, Mr. Infinity Productions. Now we travel to another toy box by Manatee with Sunglasses entitled Battle on Felucia. The objective is simple. It will be up to Obi-Wan to find Padme, who is trapped somewhere on this planet. So he sets off to battle all the droids across the sprawling world of Felucia. While Obi-Wan takes out some enemies, just take a look at how beautiful the visuals are on this planet. I love the little details shown here as well. As you come across your allies, they will also interact with you in various places too. There's even an emotional storytelling part where you come across a downed ally hurt from the battle. Really nice touch here. As you continue to fight enemies, you'll make your way up the mountains of the landscape, which features huge structures that Manatee has masterfully crafted. When you enter this temple, you'll see where Padme is being held, and it's now up to you to fight Grievous and help rescue her. Once he's defeated, the toy box is complete, and you once again save the day as Padme acknowledges you. Now, this toy box was a really fun entry for the event, and it was really cool to see someone utilize the beautiful and unique world of Felucia in this year's event. Colorful, fun toy box, Manatee. Really enjoyed this one. From one world to another, Jumanji Allen joined in on the event with this Imperial bunker map. Deep within Infinity's files, Jumanji Allen has found a hidden world that would have been included in the Rogue One playset. He describes what he thinks this world actually is, saying, quote, "I believe you would have done several tasks sneaking in and back out of an Imperial base, stealing the Death Star plans." Now, it's always great to see new areas rich with details such as this bunker area, which features early placed models on the bed, the moving doors throughout the base, and even laser fields in which the player would need to dodge to avoid detection. There's also tons of traversal sections such as climbing, navigating through vents, and a myriad of platforming parts. This was such a fantastic sneak peek at the Rogue One content we never got, hidden deep within the game. Makes you wonder what this playset would have been if it had released. Regardless, thanks for sharing, Jumanji. What an unbelievable, surreal discovery. Now, let's talk about this Let's Build special by Sir Duxworthy III. In a nearly 2-hour-long live stream, Duxworthy creates an entire Imperial hangar rich with details. These include TIE Fighter hangar-based ship holders, massive drops in the ground, and a massive window looking out. This truly looks like something ripped straight out of the films. Best of all, if you're ever wondering how to build something like that, Sir was able to live stream the entire build process, including the logic connections. Now, it's always cool to see more people creating inside the toy box, and I thought this came out really great. He also mentioned this is the first time he remembered to build something for the event. Look forward to more from Duxworthy. Thanks for sharing. EC Vader contributed to the event with a playthrough of the Rise Against the Empire playset. Now, if you've never fully experienced the greatness and fun that is these playsets, I highly recommend you play through them. In Vader's playthrough, it brought back so many memories, from the cutscenes to the vast exploration you could do, the exceptional combat, all the way to the beautiful scenery. I really adored these playsets and still believe they hold up to Star Wars games today, all these years later. What a great way to celebrate May the 4th in Disney Infinity style. Thanks for the trip down memory lane, Vader. RJ joins the event as a newcomer as well with his Droid Factory entry. Immediately, we're met with a powerful scene as Ahsoka is marching out with the troopers. Heading out to battle, this is honestly a sight to behold. As the doors open up, they all walk out into the smoke, and then the fight begins. Through tons of smoke, droids will emerge, attacking Ahsoka and her allies. Now, I love the terrain of this toy box, and the low visibility while Ahsoka and her allies fight on adds to the intensity of everything. Ahsoka will continue to take down her enemies, eventually making it past the first wave. At this point, the troopers will regroup and head to the next enemy group together with Ahsoka. New enemies, new threats. Ahsoka and her clone troopers begin to battle everything around them. After clearing out this wave, Ahsoka and her troopers then head to this door entry. As the doors open up, you'll be met with tons of shielded enemies who roll out and begin fighting. Once again, you'll have to fight off these enemies. As she progresses, you'll enter an area with lava and some platforming areas. Ahsoka will make her way forward, avoiding the chopping blades and taking on some more enemies. Additionally, she'll need to make her way across platforms and around lasers to make it to the other side. Once you do make your way forward, you'll eventually enter another area where General Grievous appears. You'll begin going blade to blade with him as more enemies will appear throughout the fight. Fight on, defeat them all, and Grievous, and the droid factory will be conquered. Now, this was a fantastic toy box entry, RJ, and while he entered this for the May 4th event, RJ even went back and updated his toy box on his channel after this submission was entered. I love the marching scene so much, and I can't wait to see more content from you in the future. Now, let's check out Clinton's latest toy box, loosely based on Star Wars A New Hope. He opens it up with a beautiful crawl of the Star Wars logo built entirely in the toy box. It begins with Luke on his land speeder, who is on the hunt for R2-D2. As Luke enters the cave, the toy box turns into a 2D platforming toy box with tons of sand people and platforming sections that Clinton is so great at creating. Luke will jump across ledges, climb up sides of cliffs, and much more as Luke continues to traverse the mysterious cave. There are even parts where you can shoot stuff that will open up paths to continue on, such as shooting this piece of the cave down, allowing you to progress. Make it to the end, and you'll find Obi-Wan and R2-D2 waiting for you. Next, Luke and company travel over to Mos Eisley. As you enter the city, you'll see Mos Eisley brilliantly recreated all in 2D. Luke enters the cantina looking for business. As you approach Obi-Wan, you'll find that he has made a deal with Han Solo. Next up, Luke makes his way to the hangar, where the level now turns back to 3D as enemies spawn in and are ready to fight. Once defeated, Luke heads back out and is on his way to the docking bay. This time, however, as you run back through town, tons of Imperials will be attacking Luke. You'll also enter indoor parts of the town where Luke will battle it out with with more enemies as people flee from the buildings. Really enjoyed the interior parts here. There's even a section where Luke can drop parts of the building down on the stormtroopers below. And from here, you'll enter the Millennium Falcon. After getting caught in the tractor beam, Clinton's Death Star interior shines in all its 2D glory. The visuals here look amazing, especially the background areas where you can see the ships through the windows. R2 and C-3PO will come up to the console, then it's time to leave. Luke will make his way back to the ship, and unfortunately, he'll have to take on the Death Star by himself. Here, you'll be avoiding blaster turrets as you push buttons for an escape. Make your way up the elevator and through the doors to the next area. Now back at the tractor beam controls, you'll be met with a huge 2D platforming section where Luke will have to activate controls which are stuck behind barriers. As Luke continues to destroy the turrets and traverse the room, he'll eventually shut down the tractor beam. Now it's time to find Princess Leia. As he comes down the hallway corridors, he'll enter an elevator room with more enemies. Make quick work of them, and you'll end up finding the princess. Then you'll be in the trash compactor room, where Luke will need to find an exit. He does, and then you meet up with Han as you battle more stormtroopers on your way to the Falcon. The next scene is the epic finale of this toy box featuring Clinton's take on the trench run. Now take a moment to realize how incredible this is. I love the creativity of everything he used to make this trench run feel fast and dangerous. It's just beautifully built. As Luke gets closer to the end, he'll find the middle section where he'll go and take down parts of the tower. Here, you'll see lightning hitting the tower as well as many enemy TIE fighters there to stop you. Keep blasting at the middle and you'll eventually make it go boom. As you fly away, everything in the trench will begin exploding everywhere. Your X-Wing will be flying through fire as the massive explosions continue to erupt all around you. Then you'll be able to fly away and watch the Death Star itself blow up. I enjoyed this toy box so much. It was such a fun retelling of A New Hope, and Clinton's brilliant and creative use of gameplay elements through 2D further prove he's one of the best creators in the community. What a toy box, Clinton. What a toy box indeed. Now it's time to break down Papa H's latest toy box, Defending Naboo. It begins with Anakin Skywalker flying over the Veneta Mark II ship. Fun fact, Papa H shared that his son Alex actually built this. So cool. As Anakin lands on Naboo, he learns that the droids are back and the clones need his help. Papa H shows off his absolutely breathtaking recreation of Naboo, inspired by Star Wars Battlefront 2. Anakin will join the clone troopers as they prepare to fight the battle. The way the toy box gameplay is set up is similar to a Star Wars Battlefront command post mission. Essentially, you'll have to defeat enemies and capture command posts. Now, the mechanic behind capturing the command posts are super creative. When capturing them, if you get knocked out of the area or go down, the command post will have to be recaptured all over again. So, Anakin defeats the enemies and the marker goes off, indicating that he's captured the command post. As Anakin continues to make his way through the battlefield, I can't help but appreciate the level of detail on this toy box. Papa H has brought us back to the Clone Wars era perfectly. The scenery includes balconies, various terrain, buildings, rubble, and so much more. As Anakin dispatches more enemies around the buildings, he is able to capture the second command post. Anakin will continue to dominate the droids and make his way to the next command post. Once all three are captured, we're met with a cutscene where the multi-troop transport, or MTT for short, rolls onto the battlefield. Oh boy. Anakin then makes his way over to the MTT, which is masterfully built by Papa H here. As you approach it, the door will open up and the droids will be brought out of the MTT, which looks absolutely incredible. Seriously, this was jaw-dropping to watch. Anakin then continues his fight against the droids. I also love how the landscape looks heavily war-torn as Anakin battles on. Once they're defeated, Anakin will be able to go inside the MTT and blow up the entire vehicle. As Anakin runs away from the vehicle, a huge explosion will occur and Anakin will be met with Naboo celebrating their victory. Now, this toy box was absolutely stunning to watch. Papa H was really able to create one of the most unique toy boxes of the entire event with spot-on visuals, Battlefront-inspired gameplay, and that MTT. The MTT was such a marvel to watch in action. Absolutely incredible, Papa H. Just wow. Gunny69 also brought a collection of toy boxes to the event entitled Desert World. Set in a time before Luke met Obi-Wan, Gunny's first toy box starts off at Luke's farm, where Luke is contacted by Biggs, who invites him out to Beggar's Canyon. As Luke exits the room, you can see the farm where he grew up on recreated faithfully. Luke will also have daily tasks to do in this heavily detailed toy box. You'll see stuff like storage rooms with foods and supplies, a kitchen area where they prepare the food, and Uncle Owen working in his utility room. Luke then gets on his land speeder and checks around the property for the evaporators around the farm. There's even droids checking on them too, doing their job, and it's cool to see the attention to detail here. After everything looks good, Luke heads out to Tashi Station and Anchorhead. Here, you can see a huge town built within this toy box, which looks fantastic. You'll notice merchants selling items throughout the marketplace, and even a droid selling station where you can see all the droids huddled up around the dealer. Luke will then make his way over to a shop brimming with NPCs, including a ton of Luke's friends. Gunny even included details like a garage area where they have maintenance droids working on the stuff. There are even power converters available in the power shed that Gunny has created. After more exploring, Luke will head over to Mos Eisley. Once again, Gunny absolutely nails all the details here. Luke will park his land speeder and head into the cantina. Now, Gunny has created a really fun adaptation of the cantina, including different verticality and details throughout. I also love his use of NPCs here, as well as the effects. Like, check out this stage area with the dancers down here. Just awesome. The other details, like this couch in the corner, represents the cantina well. Shortly after, you'll see some enemies causing a ruckus, and Luke decides to get involved. After disposing of said enemies, Luke makes his way back outside where you can see ships flying around the city and up into the sky, making the city feel alive and active. Gunny then shows off more of the area he's built as he drives around the Mos Eisley area in his land speeder. I really enjoyed this layout here. Very detail oriented all the way around. For example, you'll see this huge ship taking off and into the stars too. At another area, Docking Bay 94 is shown off, which mirrors the film well. When Luke returns home, Gunny shows off the farm once again, and everything is looking good. Luke's ready to go and join his friends and flies out on his ship. Luke then arrives in Beggar's Canyon. Here, he'll meet up with his friends, including Biggs, as they prepare to race through the canyons. Gunny's interpretation of Beggar's Canyon is great. The twists and turns throughout the canyon while flying through the rings is an exceptional gameplay touch. Luke will continue flying through rings, and he'll eventually complete the minigame. It's here where Luke parts ways with Biggs and decides to explore, coming across Tusken Raiders. Luke is ambushed and captured. The next part of the toy box is called Escape from Junkland Wastes. You'll begin escaping through a tent as the Raiders are outside keeping an eye on you. As you battle it out with the Raiders, you'll have to traverse through the caves within the mountains on a bantha. Even the interior parts of the caves look great with the mountain scenery and rock structures down here. Eventually, you'll make your way out to your ship and you'll be able to escape all the danger. The toy box ends with a beautiful sunset setting just like the movie. Now, Gunny has created something very special here. A toy box before Luke's days of fulfilling his destiny as a Jedi. The way he was able to create a living, breathing city brimming with all the detail was spectacular in every way. Incredible work, Gunny. Absolutely loved it. Now let's travel back to Galaxy's Edge Black Spire Outpost, created by Mr. Disfinity. Now this is the second recreation of Galaxy's Edge in the event, and Mr. Disfinity takes us on a tour of his adaptation of Disney's Galaxy's Edge theme park area. He mentions that his version of Galaxy's Edge is pushing his toy box memory meter to the max. The terrain, buildings, decor, and everything else looks absolutely incredible. He starts out with Black Spire Station, showcasing all the vehicles here. As his tour continues, Mr. Disfinity walks us through the droid depot, taking us through corridors, showcasing droids, and then the area where Kylo Ren's ship is, all while showing off the brilliant infrastructure of the area. He also perfectly recreates the details inside Ogu's cantina, including food, tables, and more. Over at Savvy's workshop, where you can build lightsabers, he was able to create a good-looking workshop. Details, colors, and vibe of the lightsaber creation with the crystals looks great here. Rey then heads back up the stairs and over to the Den of Antiquities, which features some fun interior toys. Mr. Disfinity also showcases the roofs that he built, like this dome area, and everything is really well thought out here. He then shows off his custom Millennium Falcon, rebuilt with block pieces. The entire area where the Smuggler's Run ride is just looks absolutely fantastic. Next, he shows off Ronto Roasters, which has the engine piece in the middle, and it looks really cool here. The attention to detail, like the grates on the ground, barricades, food, and other stuff, make it feel just like the park. His shop areas look amazing too, utilizing a mixture of different themes to give it a unique look and feel, just like how Galaxy's Edge is at the theme parks. I also really like this area with the X-Wing and A-Wing as well. Additionally, his entrance to the Rise of the Resistance ride was very creative. Utilizing the little caverns mixed in with details like the crates and rails look really slick here. The queue is spot on, and he was even able to add in the waterfalls just like the theme park too. Lastly, the entrance to the ride looks great too. He then showcases the rest of the Resistance space as well. Overall, we got two phenomenal versions of Galaxy's Edge in this year's event, and it was fantastic to see how both versions of the toy boxes were so similar, yet different at the same time. Mr. Disfinity did a phenomenal job of showcasing how he created everything from a bird's eye view too. I absolutely loved this build, and like I said earlier, it makes me want to go visit the real thing now. Great work, Mr. Disfinity. You nailed it. Next up is the legendary 72 Pringle, who showcased his Star Destroyer factory for this year's event. Opening up his toy box with an epic cutscene with a Star Destroyer overhead, 72 Pringle has crafted an entire Star Destroyer factory right here inside Disney Infinity. As you can see from this overhead shot, the details here are amazing, and Pringle has created something really special here. In this massive factory, 72 Pringle wanted to celebrate the Star Destroyer ship. So, what he did in this toy box was build massive docks for them. Here you can see Kanan hit a button, and large arms will raise up and lift the Star Destroyer up and into the air where it takes off. But even more impressively, the arms will retract back down and into the ground afterwards. That's not all though. 72 Pringle had the concept of not only having a ship take off, but these arms will raise up and actually allow another Star Destroyer to land on them for a fuel pump. Now the mechanics are absolutely insane here. If that wasn't mind-blowing enough, 72 Pringle was able to create a massive crane large in scale with huge arms. He'll hit another button and climb upward. Now the concept here is that the crane will allow a Star Destroyer to be fixed or repaired. As the arms come down, you see a massive Star Destroyer is on fire with smoke. Now, as the crane comes out, it rotates like a clock, and then water will start flooding in and pouring out the 6 pumps on the screen. From here, you'll see water fill up the entire area, which will repair the massive ship. This is absolutely mind-blowing stuff here. So we have refueling and repairing. What else could Pringle do here? Well, check this out. He has an area where the Star Destroyers are actually being built. This shot is crazy. A half-created Star Destroyer with droids working on it and electrical sparks to top it off. Absolutely incredible. 72 Pringle also shows off a shipyard where this acts as an alternative way of landing ships, just like in the show. This gigantic Star Destroyer will land, complete with landing legs that come out and allow the ship to land on ground. You'll also see ships come out to do the repairs. The use of the sandcrawler in this shot was so creative. Lastly, 72 Pringle shows off a Star Destroyer that was getting attacked and on fire, and what happens next will blow your mind yet again. The Star Destroyer will then plow through the land and come crashing down. Here you'll see part of the ship on the ground and on fire, as well as smoke where the wreckage of the ship is on full display with debris everywhere. Now listen, 72 Pringle has always created stuff that has set the bar for what you can do inside Disney Infinity, and this is yet another example of just that. The creative use of logic here to create different scenarios of how Star Destroyers get made, repaired, and crash is ingenious here. This might be one of the most technically impressive toy boxes ever created in my opinion. Simply jaw-dropping stuff all the way around here, 72 Pringle. Last but certainly not least, let's close out this event with Lion HD's The Mandalorian Chapter 3 toy box in Disney Infinity. This serves as a continuation to his Chapter 1 and 2 toy boxes, which were incredible in themselves. Based on the first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, Chapter 3 picks up with Mando's ship landing down. Here, Mando and the child step out, and immediately you can see the incredible work Lion HD has put into everything. Next, you'll see the incredible and colorful marketplace filled with merchants and, of course, enemies. Mando will engage in taking out many of the enemies here, protecting the child. Mando then arrives to the place he's supposed to deliver the child to. The scene represents the show well. The little details here are great too. As Mando walks out and back towards his ship, you can see the incredible world that Lion has built. He then runs around and collects parts around the map, eventually getting back to his ship. And as he arrives back at the ship, can Mando leave in good conscience? It seems no. Mando will utilize the terminal and head down to the underground area where he meets with other Mandalorians. As he approaches the armorer, Mando asks him to forge new armor for himself, and with that, Mando then sets off to activate the fire for the forge itself. This includes hitting moving targets, among other fun mini-games that Lion has placed within the toy box. Complete all of them, and once all 3 vents are active, you will see the fire feeding into the impressively built forge, and Mando receives a reward from the armorer. Now, he returns back to the place where he dropped off the child. As he returns, he realizes that the child needs his help. Mando then plants a detonation on the front door, blasting it open and causing all havoc to break loose. He'll be attacked by stormtroopers as sirens blast, and you fight your way back to your little friend. You will progress through multiple rooms until you finally get to this terminal. Once all the enemies are defeated, you'll pick up the child and make your way back out. The interior spots here, with multiple enemies, are cleverly designed, with each room feeling unique and different from the previous. Continue fighting your way back out towards the exit, and you'll eventually be able to escape into the night with the child. However, one final ambush occurs and Mando must take on one huge group of enemies under the moonlight. While you're outnumbered, just like the show, your fellow Mandalorians will come to your aid and help you make a clean escape with the child. Hurry back to the ship, and you and the child are safe from danger. For now. Lion's Toy Box is so accurate to the source material, and I really enjoyed the scenery as you make your way through the toy box. Everything felt so well crafted, and while there is no official Mandalorian game, I think this toy box is more than enough to hold fans over. This toy box was done flawlessly. This is the way, Lion. This is the way. And with that, the 2024 May 4th Disney Infinity event has been recapped. I want to give a special shout out to all the creators, newcomers and veterans alike, and to our entire community for their love of all things Infinity. Also, a big thank you to Lion HD for helping organize this entire event with creators from all around the world. Disney Infinity lives on through our passionate work, and it's been a pleasure to help showcase that right here on the channel. I'll put a link to everyone's channels in the video description below, so make sure to check them all out. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the new Star Wars content in Disney Infinity in 2024. I know I did. May the 4th be with you. So, Infiniteers, what were some of your favorite creations? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for all the latest Disney Infinity news and content.